Heartland Highways is made possible in part by Consolidated Communications, offering customers high-speed internet, phone service, and digital TV service packages that include high-definition channels, DVR, and hundreds of sports, movies, and music channels. More information on these services available at consolidated.com. This week on Heartland Highways, we're indulging in art. First, we'll head to Carmel, Indiana to see what this community has done to bring back their downtown by turning it into an arts and design district. Then we'll revisit some adventures from a few years ago. We'll stop at the Swope Art Museum in downtown Terre Haute, then meet landscape photographer Larry Kanfer. That's all coming up next, so don't go away. Hi, and welcome to another edition of Heartland Highways. I'm Lori.
And I'm Kate, and today we're walking the halls of the Dowden Fine Arts Center here at Eastern Illinois University, where creative minds roam every day.
Now, creative minds are exactly what it took to bring together what this next story is all about.
Just outside of Indianapolis, the Carmel Arts and Design District has attracted over 100 businesses, including art galleries, antique dealers, and more.
Carmel had been a little town of about 2,000 people until 1950. And the downtown that we had in that area worked fine for that small population, but now that we're approaching 100,000, we knew that it just wasn't big enough. And so through public-private partnerships to get private capital, we moved our downtown, in essence, about 3 blocks south. At the same time, we wanted that older little village downtown area to do well, and so we turned it into the Arts and Design District. We started by redoing all the residential streets and put new curbs and sidewalks and period street lamps in. We developed a logo. We did archways to help define that district. We were able to take an old rail corridor and turn it into what's called the Monon Trail for the old Monon Railway. It runs through the middle of the Arts and Design District and continues to downtown Indianapolis and north of us as well.
Inspiration for this unique district came from looking at other similar places in New York, Virginia, Europe, and Los Angeles. Eventually, Mayor Brainerd met Evan Lurie, an LA gallery owner who now owns the Evan Lurie Gallery in Carmel, and who he eventually partnered with to get the Arts and Design District project underway.
You know, when we say art and design, it's kind of a broad statement. You know, it's art, it's fashion, it's food, it's everything that relates to art and design. So it seemed like Carmel was a really cool place to do it because it just had everything going for it. And I ended up meeting Mayor Brainerd, and when I met him and we started talking, he said to me, God, you know, I've been wanting to do something with that area that was very much in line with the arts and design industry. I should come out to LA and see what it is you guys were doing out there. And so he came out to Los Angeles, and he had this idea of putting this art and design district kind of concept together, but I guess he just didn't have the right person to implement it. And then I kind of came along, and it just seemed like timing was perfect for both of us.
The vision for the district was to make it a place where people could come together, meet their neighbors, and have a cultural experience. But it needed to have a certain look, too.
We wanted the architecture to be interesting. So many times in the United States, we take the easy route and let developers and builders build buildings that they know are going to be torn down in 20 years without interest, without decoration, buildings that no one can really be proud of. And we also wanted this to be a friendly, walkable, a pedestrian area. And we wanted to get the stores up on the streets the way we used to design our cities prior to the automobile really taking over.
You could see the mayor's efforts to really keep everything into a certain visual concept. You know, he wants it, if the buildings are new, he still wants them to have, to not look out of place. You know, he wants to make it quaint. He wants to make it warm. At first he didn't really want anything contemporary down here, but I think now that he's got achieved the look he's looking for, I think he's maybe open now to a little bit more progressive architecture. So, and that you'll start seeing that come as well, I think, soon.
And speaking of progressive, Carmel has introduced a very interesting traffic control system throughout the district, one not seen very often in America.
We looked at England and Europe and decided that we ought to build roundabouts, and found out that there's an 80% reduction in injury accidents at roundabouts, a 40% reduction in all accidents at roundabouts. We now have more roundabouts than any city in the United States. And we've lowered our overall injury accident rate just in the last 4 years in the city of Carmel by 30%, even though we still have some stoplights. But what we can do is then build beautiful boulevards with trees that form a nice tree canopy. We don't have to widen the roads. Traffic moves constantly through the roundabouts.
In addition to the unique traffic system, art galleries, restaurants, fashion houses, boutiques, and even a local butcher shop, Carmel's new downtown will feature a city center, which was nearing completion during our visit in the fall of 2009 and was slated to open in late 2010.
Well, the City Center project is our new downtown in Carmel, about 3 blocks south of the Arts and Design District. And that's where the city's bought about 80 acres. We knew the Arts and Design District wasn't big enough to be a downtown for our eventual population, so just south of that area, we bought this 80 acres, and then we worked with the development community, planned a pedestrian-friendly, walkable area that includes offices, shops, rental housing, owner-occupied housing, townhomes, Veterans Plaza, green open spaces, small piazzas, outdoor eating areas, sidewalk cafes, but a lot of underground parking in it to get the density that we needed, and beautiful architecture.
While there's plenty to see in Carmel and its Arts and Design District, there's also plenty to do there too.
We have this amazing things going on down here, from classic car shows, antique, art events, you know, the International Art Festival, art walks, jazz on the Monon on the weekends. I mean, we have another event that's kind of taken off crazy is Rock the District, which is when we build these different stages and have a bunch of bands come in, and that is just, I mean, it's wall-to-wall people out there. So they're starting to really appreciate the district as a venue for events and fun things to go see.
The district is also building one of the largest Seward Johnson sculpture collections in the country.
Seward Johnson is, I guess you'd call him like the modern day Norman Rockwell. He is the heir to the Johnson Johnson Foundation. He's one of the best known sculptors of that Americana type of work in the country right now. That has been something the mayor has been very good about. Now he wants to branch off a little bit and get into the more contemporary art, so to kind of broaden the perspective a little bit. So his plan is to, over the next few years, really build a large, not just within the Art and Design District, but within Carmel itself, a large art collection. Some which the city will own, and some which the city will work on a rotation schedule on loan program from artists from all over the world.
Now eventually there will be a map for walking or driving tours of the district's art collection. But whether it's art, architecture, or just curiosity that may bring you to Carmel, one thing is for sure: there's something here for everyone.
There's a lot of things that draw people, but there is this ambience. It's a special place. Little touches from the flower baskets to the public art we've installed, to the fountains, things that make it a fun, interesting place to be, a people place.
In Terre Haute, Indiana is the Sheldon Swope Art Museum. Housed in a 1940s Art Deco building, the museum has a wonderful collection of American art from the 19th and 20th century.
Well, Sheldon Swope was a transplant to Terre Haute. He was a jeweler here in the early 1900s. He decided that the city of Terre Haute, which was an up-and-coming city at the time, he thought it was worthy of having an art museum. He was never an art collector himself, but thought that that was an important part to any part of the cultural life of a city.
With a bequest from his will, the Art Museum was founded in 1929 and eventually opened to the public in 1942 to national acclaim. The museum was housed in the 1901 Italian Renaissance Swope block, considered one of the grandest commercial buildings in downtown Terre Haute.
The ground level was retail. It had at one point a bank in it. It had men's clothing store, bookstores, lawyers' offices, a variety of things. When the museum opened in 1942, it only existed on the second floor, and the third floor at that time had a business school on it. Over time, the museum has, as retail businesses have moved out, the museum has acquired more of it.
The museum's original galleries on the second floor were designed with an Art Deco theme. Over time, the Art Deco look changed, but a recent multi-year renovation has brought it back to the 1942 look. The Swope Art Museum can be described as a showcase of American art, with work ranging from pre-Civil War to contemporary works. The original collection reads like a who's who of American art.
We have the last work that Grant Wood ever did. Most people are familiar with his work, American Gothic, with the farmer's wife and the pitchfork man. This work that we have is called Spring in Town, shows that Iowa kind of landscape with the rolling hills and everybody working out in their yard. So it has that Midwest feel to it. So it's a nice piece. It's been featured on the cover of the Saturday Evening Post as quite one of our big favorites.
Other well-known works include Edward Hopper, best known for his painting Nighthawks, as well as Andy Warhol and Ansel Adams.
One of the things we're also very proud of is we have work by the Hoosier Impressionists in our collection and have a very nice representation of some of the major movers in that movement. It's kind of a complementary movement to the Hudson River School that was going on in New York. In Indiana, we had the Hoosier Impressionists. One of the things that we have within our collection is we like to focus on art within our region. And we have a number of artists in our collection that were Terre Haute based or Terre Haute artists that grew up here and got some national reputation or regional reputation, including Janet Scudder, James Farrington Gookins, Carolyn Petalball, who were sculptors and painters and had some national reputation as well.
Now, I'm a person who enjoys art, but I'll admit to not being an art expert, historian, or critic. Throughout the museum, the works are categorized with accompanying text panels and helpful brochures. This makes your experience at the Swope so much more enjoyable and educational.
And the artwork behind me in the small gallery, that's artwork of the Gilded Age, of the late 1800s, when you know, the Rockefellers and the Carnegies were the powerhouses in the country, and they were spending lots of money on lots of things, and this artwork reflects that same kind of concept. You know, these were kinds of artworks that they would have had in their homes. So we throughout the museum we have information that is separating the artwork into the different categories, different time periods, different thematic reasoning that goes on. With the labels that describe the artwork are color-coded to those text panels so that it makes it easier and friendly for the visitor to come in and understand, this is what I've read about, now this is the artwork that's that example.
The first floor gallery includes works from the early 19th and 20th century, the Gilded Age, and the Hoosier Impressionists. The second floor contains art of the 30s and 40s, art of the American West, as well as contemporary works. The Swope is also home to the annual Wabash Valley Juried Art Exhibition, featuring a range of regional artists and mediums. The museum collection consists not only of paintings, but also includes sculpture, works on paper, and pottery. One of the most striking pieces, though, can be found just as you enter the museum's front doors.
It's the Diana. It is by Paul Manship, and most people are familiar with the work that he has that's at Rockefeller Plaza, the Prometheus, that when you see all the skaters out at Rockefeller Plaza, that's the work by him. The Diana that we have is one that the sculptor gave to us while he was still alive, and this is the plaster version of what became a bronze. Some bronzes were made from that, but it's a stunning work. We had it restored for the museum as part of this renovation process. When people come here, one thing that I think they can really enjoy is this is a small museum, and you're not fighting the crowds that you do at a large museum. We have works here that are comparable to any museum in the country. We have works that any museum would kill for, and we may get requests for loans of many of our artworks all the time. But they get to enjoy them in an intimate setting, and that is something I think that they can really experience here that they can't experience anywhere else. To be close to in a setting that you don't feel rushed, you don't have to fight the crowds, and you get to enjoy the artwork by yourself.
Throughout the year, the museum offers classes, lectures, and special exhibitions. You can tour the museum free of charge, Tuesday through Friday from 10 to 5, and Saturday and Sunday from noon to 5.
To some, the Midwestern landscape may look flat and uninteresting, but to landscape photographer Larry Kanfer, capturing the beauty of the Midwest is what he does best.
Here in the Midwest, one of the things that really struck me when I first moved here, it was a lot of the farmers would tell me how beautiful it was. And I, of course, couldn't see it. It looked flat. Everything looked flat and empty. There was nothing here. And they really understood that there were moments during a foggy morning that were just spectacular. And so it was kind of neat to see how excited they were about what I thought, as an outsider, was barren. So that to me is the thrill, is to try and understand that other perspective.
Since 1989, Larry has been traveling the back roads of the Midwest, capturing on film its subtle beauty. After graduating from the University of Illinois with a degree in architecture, Larry instead decided to pursue a career as a photographer.
When I graduated, I took about a week to decide, am I going to do my architecture portfolio and get a job doing that, or is this photography really, is this something I want to pursue? So I went ice fishing up north and thought about it and thought I'd give it a year, and here I am.
With 2 galleries, one in Champaign and another in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Larry is one of very few photographers whose primary work is in landscapes. While some images may be the result of being in the right place at the right time, most often the best photographs come at a particular intersection.
I go out when the weather seems to be exciting, that it's going to be exciting. It's sort of when there's an intersection of both, I would call it the cycles of and the ebb and flow of what people do and the weather and the natural environment. And there's at that intersection, that's when I'll go out. So for example, if it's harvest time and there's I know people are going to be going out harvesting and a front might be coming through, that's when I'll go out, because at that intersection there's bound to be something that I'd like to show.
The photograph full circle encompasses the perfect intersection of elements, the moment in time where weather, season, and people come together.
I had a good sense of of the people and the harvest and what it takes, and what it takes to get to that point where you can reap the benefits of all that work, and the moment where the sun comes up and the fog was there, and compositionally there was that serendipitous kind of element in there where you can visually walk to the back and kind of wonder what's back there.
While Larry's work reflects the presence of people, he rarely, if ever, includes them in the photograph.
If you show everything, then there's nothing for the audience to really work at, and if it strikes a chord emotionally, then let people use their imagination a little bit. If you have a person in there, it pretty much completes the equation, whereas I'd rather have something dangling, and it could be compositionally, or it could be in tone, color, black and white, or it could be just not having all the elements in there like people.
Larry rarely travels without a camera and makes a point to shoot at least one day every week or two. His travel between the galleries in Champaign and Minneapolis bring him new subject materials, but he also finds photo opportunities close to home. In addition to framed images, Larry's collection of work has been published in 5 books, beginning with Prairiescapes, now in its 7th printing. And every year for over a decade, Larry has produced his Prairiescapes calendar that celebrates the changing seasons.
Fall colors are wonderful, and the first greenery coming out in spring. And so doing a calendar really helps me to kind of organize my thoughts and look at my work over the past year. And of course, I use all new images. And to look at it and kind of put it in sequential order. And then I can sort of relive these seasons, once again, from this embossed white on white to the first little green color and black soil coming out, to the tall corn and the stillness of summer, and then the beauty of fall and the cooling off, and back to the embossed landscape.
In addition to Midwestern landscapes, Larry's portfolio also includes images of the Pacific Northwest, Long Island, New York, Europe, and his alma mater, the University of Illinois. Seen through the lens of Larry Kanfer, the Midwest landscape, often thought of as ordinary, becomes extraordinary. His award-winning photographs have captured attention and accolades from around the country. His work has been described as breathtaking, deceptively simple, a celebration that distinguishes the prairie from any other place.
The exciting thing is I get to be in all these places, and it's sort of like a secondary thing that I have this on record and in 2 dimensions. But to me, the fun in this whole thing is exploring and finding things, and having the serendipity, where I could turn on this back road and see this beautiful, perfect, picture-perfect little town, or a church out in the country, that's just pristine and perfect. That's the exciting part. And then secondarily, I can show, there's a challenge to try and show that in 2 dimensions, and try and show it and have the audience be as excited as I was being there in person.
Want more information on the story you've just seen? Head to our website at weiu.net/hh.
That's all the time we have for this week.
From the Doudna Fine Arts Center, we'll see you next time. Heartland Highways is made possible in part by Consolidated Communications, offering customers high-speed internet, phone service, and digital TV service packages that include high-definition channels, DVR, and hundreds of sports, movies, and music channels. More information on these services available at consolidated.com.
Antique dealers, and much more.
Yeah. Why don't we say many businesses
In building. No, we're not.
Come on through, Linda. We keep screwing up anyway.
Just outside of Indianapolis, the Carmel Arts and oh man, the Carmel.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to say.
Spectacular. Spectacular. It doesn't lack interest. It looks flat. I'm gonna get this.